Have you ever wondered why every sci-fi movie weapon since 1986 looks like it's trying to copy homework from the same source? Half World War II submachine gun, half modern shotgun, and half futuristic fever dream that weapons designers never intended to create together. Well, buckle up, because the M41A Pulse Rifle wasn't just some Hollywood prop department's creative vision. It was actually a Frankenstein monster built from three completely different real firearms: a Thompson submachine gun, a Remington 870 shotgun, and a SPAS-12 heat shield, welded together by armorers who had no idea they were creating the template for every future military weapon in cinema history. People assume sci-fi guns are designed from scratch by creative artists. Wrong. Dead wrong. This weapon was assembled from surplus military hardware using techniques that required federal firearms licenses. And trust me, number one will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about movie weapon construction. So hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and let's dive into the wasteland of Hollywood's most influential weapon engineering. But before we start, number 14, they almost used MP5s. Instead, James Cameron originally wanted futuristic versions of the trendy HK-MP5 submachine gun for the Colonial Marines. When they ran test footage, the 9mm MP5's muzzle flash looked pathetically small on camera, too wimpy for alien-killing superweapons. Fighting 8-foot xenomorphs demanded weapons with devastating visual impact. Cameron switched to the .45 caliber Thompson specifically for its massive blinding ball of fire from the barrel. This practical effects decision accidentally created cinema's most iconic sci-fi weapon. Number 13. The piece through superior firepower. Hidden message: Private Frost's rifle contains graffiti that's nearly impossible to read on home video. Actor Rico Ross added a small heart with "Peace through superior firepower" written inside, a personal touch Cameron allowed on set. This seemingly minor detail became strangely prophetic. The cynical, militaristic message hidden on the weapon perfectly foreshadowed the ultra-violent aesthetic that would dominate future military sci-fi across games, comics, and film. An actor's impromptu personalization accidentally predicted an entire genre's trajectory. Number 12. The batteries were secretly hidden in every magazine. Those functional LED ammo counters required constant electrical power during filming. The prop department solved this by hiding small battery packs inside every magazine. Each time a Marine reloaded, they weren't just swapping ammunition, they were replacing the power source for the display. Fresh magazines always had bright, vivid counters because they contained new batteries. This clever engineering trick remained invisible to audiences for decades. The next time you watch, notice how the displays always brighten after every reload. That's real battery power being swapped. Number 11. The shorty variant that vanished from history. A special compact carbine version was built specifically for Bishop's character. This shortened variant featured a reduced barrel length and lacked the grenade launcher, making it more mobile and fitting for Bishop's calculated approach. Most scenes featuring this version were either cut or filmed from angles where it's barely visible. The carbine became one of the rarest props from the production. Fewer were made than standard rifles, making authentic examples nearly impossible to find today. This alternative design shows how the team created character-specific weapons that most viewers never noticed existed. Number 10. The missing trigger guard safety violation. The M41A technically has two triggers, but no trigger guard for the rifle portion. What appears to be a trigger guard actually houses the grenade launcher's separate trigger. The main rifle trigger sits completely exposed, a catastrophic safety violation in real-world firearms design. This dangerous configuration was unavoidable because the Thompson's trigger sat too low in the receiver. Adding a proper guard would have made the weapon look comically oversized. The designers chose aesthetics over safety, creating a weapon that would never pass military standards. Number 9. The Snow White paint job. Disaster early camera tests featured stark, glossy white rifles, matching the Sulaco's sterile aesthetic. Cameron hated their toy-like appearance, which reminded him too much of Star Wars Stormtrooper blasters. He ordered an emergency repaint, demanding they look like used, greasy Vietnam-era hardware. The resulting military green and brown color scheme, nicknamed Brown Bess, transformed the weapon from pristine space-age technology to battle-worn military equipment. This last-minute color change defined the lived-in, industrial aesthetic that would dominate military sci-fi for decades. Number 8. The scrapped Steadicam cable connection. Early concept art showed thick targeting cables connecting rifles directly to Marines' helmets. This targeting link system was intended to suggest advanced interfaces between soldier and weapon. Cameron scrapped this idea when testing revealed the cable severely restricted actors' mobility. The cluttered silhouette also made Marines look cumbersome, rather than sleek and deadly. This decision to prioritize simplicity over complexity resulted in the clean, retractable stock design we recognize. Sometimes what's left on the cutting room floor shapes a design as much as what remains. Number 7. The SPA-S12 cage was a desperate workshop. Fix that distinctive ribbed cage surrounding the grenade launcher wasn't planned at all. Original grip designs looked too blocky and wooden for a futuristic weapon. In a moment of desperate inspiration, prop builders spotted a damaged Franchi SPA-S12 shotgun collecting dust in the workshop corner. They immediately ripped off its heat shield and discovered it fit perfectly over the Remington 870 barrel they were using. This found object solution instantly created the aggressive ribbed look that became the weapon's signature visual element. The most iconic feature came from literal weapon scrap lying around the workshop. Number 6. The impossible magazine engineering challenge. The Pulse Rifle's magazine appears to insert into the bottom, similar to modern assault rifles. The problem: the Thompson submachine gun that forms its base feeds from the side, not the bottom. This created an engineering nightmare. Armorers had to extensively machine the Thompson's receiver and create a custom housing, allowing the magazine to insert in the wrong place visually while still feeding the action. This required complex internal modifications completely invisible on camera, but representing remarkable gunsmithing challenges that push the boundaries of prop weapon design. Number 5. The Brown Bess nickname from set armorer Sigourney Weaver's hero prop was officially designated the Hero, but armorers nicknamed the heavy live-fire versions Brown Bess, after famous 18th century British muskets. This wasn't just a random reference. The prop team observed that pulse rifles were just as heavy and cumbersome as those ancient firearms. The nickname connected futuristic props to historical military weapons, highlighting how some aspects of combat never change across centuries. It also reflected the physical strain actors endured carrying these heavy metal contraptions during long shooting days. Number 4. The 99 ammo counter was a synchronized lie. Those blinking LED counters weren't the high-tech smart systems they appeared to be. The displays were functional, but couldn't actually track rounds being fired. They were pre-programmed countdown timers, manually synchronized with the actors' performances. Prop masters constantly matched the counter's speed with trigger pulls. If timing was off between bursts and countdown, the entire take was ruined. This smart technology was completely dependent on human coordination behind the scenes. What looked like seamless weapon display integration was actually a carefully orchestrated dance between actor and prop technician. Number 3. Live-fire blanks created dangerous hot brass hazards. Cameron's insistence on authentic muzzle flashes meant modified Thompsons firing actual blanks on set. The most dangerous element wasn't the muzzle blast, but hot brass casings violently ejecting from each weapon. Marines had to stand in specific formations to avoid brass flying into faces. The metal grate cutting scene required particularly precise positioning to prevent injuries from ricocheting cases. Every combat sequence was choreographed not just for camera angles, but for basic safety protocols. This commitment to practical effects came with constant on-set danger management that modern CGI productions don't face. Number 2. The grenade launcher sound is a camera shutter. That distinctive thump-pump sound when the grenade launcher cycles isn't a weapon mechanism at all. Sound designers recorded a Canon F1 professional camera's shutter clicking and film advancing. They slowed this everyday photography equipment's sound significantly to create something heavy, metallic, and imposing. The signature sound of futuristic warfare came from completely analog camera mechanics. This creative repurposing illustrates how the most convincing sci-fi often stems from manipulating familiar elements rather than creating something from scratch. Number 1. The future sound is actually World War II. The iconic screaming roar when the pulse rifle fires, the sound that defined futuristic warfare for decades, comes from pitch-shifted recordings of a World War II Thompson submachine gun. The high-pitched pulse whine wasn't created with synthesizers, but by recording an industrial floor polisher starting up, capturing the electric motor's distinctive sound as it accelerated. The most futuristic weapon sound in cinema history, is actually a sonic collage of 1940s military hardware combined with janitorial equipment. This brilliant audio deception defined how generations imagine future combat sounds, all created from technology that existed decades before filming. And there you have it, 14 weird, wild, and downright unbelievable facts about the weapon that accidentally became the blueprint for every sci-fi gun that followed. The M41A Pulse Rifle wasn't just a movie prop, it was a Frankenstein monster of surplus military hardware that somehow became more influential than most real weapons. From World War II, submachine guns to camera shutters to floor polishers, this thing was built from whatever the prop department could legally get their hands on. So now I want to hear from you. Which fact blew your mind the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive, and make sure to subscribe for more insane behind-the-scenes stories that prove Hollywood's greatest innovations often come from pure desperation and creative problem-solving.